All right, Brent Fikowski. Tuesday after the CrossFit Games. Congratulations, third fittest man on earth. You're back on the podium again after a couple of seasons, struggling a little bit more. How are you feeling today? How have things been going, and what does body feel like?
Yeah, things are good, man. Haven't gotten much sleep the last 2 nights. I never sleep well after a competition. Just my mind's just racing, mostly like kind of the adrenaline, and then I'm just already thinking about what am I doing next? Kind of hard to come down from that kind of excitement. But yeah, body's feeling good, and it was nice to, like you said, nice to be back on the podium, nice to be back up there with the best, and yeah.
So, what is that? Okay, so you win, you get an opportunity to decompress a little bit. You've obviously been working out extremely hard for the last week. What's kind of one of that first meal? What were you craving as soon as you finished it? What did you eat? Maybe what does that look like?
Yeah, for a little bit there, like as soon as the last event ended, I kind of intentionally didn't eat anything or drink anything for a little bit. Partially, you don't want to drink too much before the drug test, or else your specific gravity's off, and then you got to wait and you got to pee again. But also, I just kind of wanted to feel the sensation of hunger, because I hadn't had that in a couple of weeks, because I've been eating so much, and so it's kind of nice to feel hungry. And then when we actually did eat, we just ordered some Asian food. I think we got Chinese food this time. Nothing too crazy. I've had one beer. Probably won't have too much else. Too many other drinks in the next little while, to be honest. But definitely have a really good burger in the next few days. We went for some Venezuelan food in Madison. We found this spot that was well rated online, and that was really good. Some like deep fried plantains and stuff was pretty cool. Whoa. But yeah, no specific cravings. It was just nice to feel hungry, actually. It's kind of
yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit, because competing at the games is not like regular training. It's also not like what guys like me are usually used to doing and doing at that volume. What's kind of your calorie count and or nutrition approach as you're going through day over day, and how do you approach nutrition at the games?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with the same dietitian now for 8 years, pretty much as long as I've been doing the sport. And we figured out what works for me, and we're still constantly adjusting. We've still made mistakes. But this weekend, we really wanted to make sure I was well fueled over the weekend. We didn't want to toy too much with, especially kind of, we saw the announcement of the first, 5 or 7 events leading in, and we're like, you know what? We're going to see if it kind of pays to be big, and we're not going to try and lose. I started the competition at around 223 pounds in the morning after going to the bathroom. So it's pretty big, it's the biggest I've ever, that's the heaviest I've ever been starting a competition. It's possible for me to lose a little bit of that weight. There's not much body fat, but a little bit. And so, I could get down to maybe 218 if I'd sort of done that in the couple of weeks prior. And for reference, I think at the 2000, I'd have to look again. But basically every year I put on 1 to 2 pounds of muscle, just kind of every year. And that's just because I do a lot of training. And so, this year we wanted to make sure I was just really well fueled, and we're like, hey, we'd rather go in, each day be a pound or 2 heavier, but really well fueled, just lots of glucose, lots of carbs. And as opposed to trying to stay light and maybe be a little fatigued by the last day or by the second last day. And we did that. I think on the first day I ate over 7,000 calories, and most of that was carbohydrates. In the morning we had protein. I think we had protein maybe once in the middle, and then protein kind of twice in the evening when it was done. But it was just carbs on carbs on carbs. That's white rice and a bunch of electrolytes as well, sodium, potassium, magnesium, and stuff. But yeah,
what are some of your favorite things to eat while you're competing?
I don't really go with favorite when I'm eating. I go with what works, and it's kind of a balance between something that's just palatable enough, but is convenient enough that my wife and whether it's my coach that's helping, or sometimes my sister or my parents, that they can actually plan it and cook it all and weigh it all the night before. I'd love to have some really fancy meals, but it's usually just a lot of white rice in soy sauce, or cooked sweet potato, or maybe some gluten-free rice-based or corn-based pasta. A lot of fruit, fruit gels, like baby food, just anything I can kind of stomach that's convenient. Yeah.
Gotcha. What is the games is a very long week. You start on Wednesday with usually a massive day. You get that break on Thursday, and then you go back to basically through a meat grinder, right? So you have 5 workouts on Friday, then you go 3 and 3. It's a monstrously long week. So talk a little bit about your routine just as an athlete. How do you wake up and how do you go to sleep? And what do you do, mobilization or PT and other things like that? What is your games routine?
Yeah, you definitely have to embrace the fatigue, right? You're going to be sore by the end. You will be tired by the end of the days and by the last day for sure. You're gonna be like, you know what? Like if I could choose between a nap right now and going out on the competition floor and doing what we're supposed to do, like my body's like nap. And so you might have a bit of caffeine.
Right.
Or you just say, well, so if I'm feeling this way, everyone else feels worse. You just kind of tell yourself like that's just kind of the way it is. And yeah, as far as the days, you try and get as much sleep as you can. You go to bed as early as the schedule allows, and kind of keep sleeping and stay in bed as long as you can until there's sort of this like window where it's like, well, I got to get up and got to quickly pack everything and then go to the venue. Fortunate to have kind of like a team of people helping me sort of like help pack my bags and get my food ready, like my wife. To kind of get that extra 30 minutes of sleep each night type thing. And then as far as during the days, I mean, a lot of that depends on the schedule, but there's a lot of kind of hurry up and wait. It's kind of like being in an airport, and then they make you work out in the airport instead of get on a plane. So it's a lot. You kind of like, okay, guys, everyone grab your stuff. You got to go here, and then you kind of wait, right. And you're all in line, and they like count you all up. All right, we're walking over here, so you walk over there. Then you have a bit of time to warm up, and then they're like, okay, you got to wait over here, and then you wait there, and then you move forward, and then you wait there. Then you move forward and you wait there. And then you get on the field and you wait there. And then they say, athletes ready in 2 minutes. Oh my gosh, like I'm ready to go. And then you get off and then you're like, quick, you got to cool down. We got to go over there. So you got to like cool down, get all your stuff, pack up. And you're like, okay, not yet. Okay, not yet. And then like, can I go to the bathroom? No, not yet. And then you walk over there. And so it's like that all day. And so kind of in every free moment, you're pushing food down. You're trying to sneak in a bathroom break. You're stretching, you're mobilizing, you're kind of warming up, cooling down. Maybe you're guessing what the next event is. You're like, oh, I might need to warm up my wrists. You're kind of just like, starting to do some exercises. And that's just kind of the day. And they fly by. And then it's just a matter of like, just staying like in the zone and not getting distracted. Like, not like, oh, I'm going to, watch something on YouTube. It's just like, no, like, what do we need to do for the next event? And try not to look back too much. At the end of the day, do some reflection with, whether it's internally or with my coaches on like, hey, let's go kind of through each event. So just we can get it out of the way. And then, but usually it's just like, even if you finish an event, it's just like, we don't really spend much time talking about how it went. It's just like, well, it's done. Next event.
Right.
There's just no time. There's no time. Yeah.
Do you, well, speaking of fatigue a little bit, we noticed throughout the competition, on the live feed, I saw you in the background, kind of taped up on your leg a little bit. Was something going on? And how are you feeling with your leg and what was that like?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. No, everything's good there. Like a little bit of tape, sometimes do that just for like some supportive stuff. Been messing around with that a bit this year. Some different body parts, just like, kind of symmetrical structural stuff, but no, everything's good there. Honestly, I think, afterwards, I'm not on the live stream or anything like that. During, obviously, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, apparently there was kind of a lot of questions about that and, people making inferences, but no, everything's good.
Cool. Good. Well, I want to ask about another behind the scenes question. You have a really great working friendship, I think, with Patrick Vellner. And you guys seem to be trading spots on the podium and either in off-season competitions or the sanctionals back during sanctional season and at the games for many years. It's kind of a battle back and forth. Talk a little bit about your relationship with Patrick, and do you guys have this competitive rivalry together? And do you talk a lot during behind the scenes during the games and kind of trash talk one another?
Yeah, it's really cool, the relationship I've got to gain with him, and I think most of my best friends in my life have come through sport. Like the friends I still keep in touch with from like high school and college, I played volleyball with or I swam with, and those are usually on the same team. And now this being, very individual sport, obviously you go to the competitions and there's situations where you're not with your coach. And so you're just there with the athletes. And Vellner and I gravitated towards each other in 2016, the first time we kind of really got to meet at the games. And we were both these like Canadian rookies, pale, that, we're doing really well in our first games. We were both like, all of a sudden we're kind of in the mix for these like podium spots in our first games, same age. And so sort of we were kind of felt like we were thrust together, like you two are friends, right? Um, and then we actually found out we had a lot in common, like similar age. We grew up actually very similar, like 3 hours from each other, which in Canadian distance is very short. Um, and then just ever since then, obviously, like, been to a lot of competitions together, and always kind of been fighting for those top spots. And yeah, backstage we don't do much trash talking. I don't think we joke around, but there's not really any like actual trash talking in the sense of like, I used to trash talk a little bit in volleyball, and it's not really like that. We just, shoot the breeze really. And
Right.
we have similar, views on a lot of things. And so it's just fun to have someone back there that you can rely on, and that you can, enjoy. And it was nice to get to share the podium with him at the games for the first time, like officially stand on it. So that was cool.
Yeah. So you also both not only Canadian, extremely fit, but also on Team Reebok, and Reebok recently announced, this bonus program, which is probably going to end up paying out quite a bit of money to athletes who took advantage of this. You sort of already are able to take advantage of it because of your sponsorship with Reebok, and you walked away, I believe, with a first and a second place finish, which is $12,000 just on Reebok's payout alone, plus an additional $5,000 from CrossFit. Talk about the program and what that means for you as a professional athlete that's adding other opportunities to walk away from the games making extra money.
Yeah, I mean, super grateful for it, right? Like, you have to come to this event knowing anything could happen. I did not, I don't count my chickens before they hatch at all. Whenever I come to these competitions, like I know going in, and I have to come to terms with the fact that I could come all this way and spend all this money and not make any money. Like, that is the reality of this sport. And especially, you're halfway through. It was kind of realistically, it was like I had the leader's jersey after, was it day one? And I got asked a question or something about like, oh, like that's all. And I'm like, at this point I've made $1,000. And if I roll my ankle tomorrow morning, like I gotta go home with this t-shirt and then I'm done. And not only that, but I'd probably be placed last because I only had 300 points at that point. So I'm like, this is like not even close to being over. I've got like a lead in the first quarter of a basketball game.
Right.
And so like that's my mentality all weekend until it's over. But yeah, any earning opportunity for any athletes of the sport, whether they be the teams or the teenagers or the masters, and obviously I'm immersed in the individual men and women competition more specifically. That's the individual men and women are what put the butts in the seats at this event, right? Like that's why people come here. That's what people are tuning in to see. Quite frankly, more so the women than the men, And so if there ever was a prize shift, probably would be, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it would be more, it's not in my best interest, but quite frankly, it would be more for the women than the men in this sport, because that they are the ones that draw more eyes and probably more sponsorship and stuff like that. And yeah, so any opportunity for the individual men and women that, really draw the eyes to the sport to earn income. And, hopefully there's ways that we can not only reward like the top finishers, and I'm, fortunate and grateful to be one of those this weekend. And, in most cases I have been, but also for, all the individual athletes that are competing, that are paying their way to get here. It's not a cheap trip. And like I said, there's no guarantees for any of us. And, without the field of men, there isn't a field of men. It's a competition, and like those, the slow motion shots and the shots of everyone jumping into the water together and bumping on the run and all that stuff, like that only happens with the full field of men, right? It doesn't happen when there's, just the top five or just the winner of the event. It's like it takes the field. And unfortunately, if, someone has to come last, like, as good as, and that's what's great. Like everyone here is so good, right? Like somebody has to come last. And if that guy got better, and he came, 10th, then like someone else comes last. So it's not a question of like, just get better. It's like, well, then like, we can't all win. So anyway, that's a long-winded way to say, yeah, it's good to have some more prize money. And, if there's ever, it's obviously like money doesn't grow on trees, but as there's more opportunities for that, it's great for the athletes, and I'm happy to have won some. So.
Well, it's been sort of a universal opinion from anybody that we've talked to, that I've talked to personally, and these aren't just Reebok athletes, or athletes in general, and athletes from other divisions as well. They're saying, look, guys, like this costs money, and what people don't understand is really just how much money it costs. It's not just to go to this one event, because to get to the one event, you have to do 50 weeks of preparation, and 50 weeks of preparation costs a lot of money to do, between the increasing the amount you eat and the support team that you hire around you to continue to allow you to improve and to excel. Semifinal competitions, entrance fees, travel, and lodging. Most athletes don't net out positive at the games.
Yeah. And I think, something that I'll try to be eloquent in this response and not sound insensitive, because I do know that it is expensive. But, there was a time where I was competing like, I call it like an amateur, like, semi-competitive beach volleyball. And I was happy just to spend my money to do it, right? I just enjoyed the hell out of it. And for the first couple of years I did CrossFit, it was definitely a net negative, I never competed thinking I was going to make money in this sport, right? I went to regionals and I went to a couple medium-sized throwdowns and went to the States and like local, Canadian competitions in Australia before that. And wasn't doing it to make money, right? Was doing it because I enjoyed it. And it was where I spent all the money I made. I still saved responsibly, but, and so just because it costs money doesn't mean that, we can all expect to make money, right? I would still be doing this, although not full time. I would have my full time job, but I came top 4 at the games 3 times in a row before I quit my job. When I knew that financially it could make some sense and it could, pay for the life that I, needed to live and so forth. But, the unfortunate reality is like, if you want to play sports, sometimes it costs money, but, I hope that there are more and more continued opportunities as the fan base increases and the sponsorship opportunities increase and the brands want to be involved in the media package that is this whole sport, that money can make its way to the athletes, because I think that money exists and it's floating around. And, I think that hopefully there's an athlete first mentality, because without them, right, people want to see the best, right? People want to see Guy snatch what he snatched, right? They, that's what people want to see is the best. And it's not just if you don't like it, leave. It's like, well, at a certain point, you don't want to see the 350th best person. Right. You want to see the best. You want to see, exactly right. You want to see Justin out there kind of thing, right? He's right. The best this time. So
well, sports is entertainment. And
it's entertainment.
It is. Sports is entertainment for you guys. It may be your job, but sports is entertainment, and the moments that are created on the floor come from the best athletes going against the best athletes and creating those great moments. You think of like Tia versus Cara. I think it was 2017 games, going for that lunge, and you're like, these are the two best athletes going head to head, and you're seeing an exciting moment that's created and you want a sport where the best can get there, and they know that they're not just blowing all of their money to do that and laying their body on the line to do that, and they want you to continue to come back year after year and be rewarded for the entertainment they're providing us. I get entertained by watching the best athletes compete against one another. That's what I like to see. I know that's what's filling the seats in the stands. So you brought up snatch. And so I want to ask you about snatching. You have really great movement. I think a lot of athletes in the live stream, or a lot of CrossFitters in the live stream are watching it, are seeing your movement, and they're like, whoa, like this guy, he looks huge, like a big guy. And they don't know exactly how tall you are, but they're like, he's like north of 6 something, you see everything in the comment stream from like 6'5" to like at least 6 foot tall. It just depends on who you're standing next to.
Google it.
Google it. Right.
6'2", guys. Google it. Don't ask me. Just Google
6'2". And they're surprised because that your movement pattern looks so good, because it's a big struggle for a lot of taller athletes. As a tall athlete who has continued to improve their movement pattern over the years and is able to move really efficiently, and that's something you pride yourself on, is your efficient movement. What are some of your advice for taller athletes that are in CrossFit gyms all across the world for getting better at that?
I think the biggest thing, and it's to quit framing yourself as a tall athlete. You're just a dude or a girl. Like you're a male and female. Just get better at what needs to get better at, right? And for me, when I started getting better at a movement, whether it be handstand push-ups or pull-ups or running or snatching or whatever that is when I stopped kind of, putting myself in a box as a has to start here first. Like, oh, I can't do that because I'm a this, or my arms are like, this proportion to this is not adequate, is not optimal for whatever. And you're like, what? Like, just get better, And so if there's a flexibility issue I have, I'm not looking for a reason why I don't have like an inflexible ankle or something. I'm looking for, how do I fix that? And the answer is typically has nothing to do with your height, right? Like, everyone can be flexible. everyone can move with good technique. Everyone can, get their body weight to strength ratio for things like handstand push-ups better. Everyone can improve their back squat. Obviously there's limitations, like, the world record in the whatever max unbroken strict pull-ups isn't going to be held by someone who's 250 pounds. It's going to be held by someone who's quite small. Like, that's just going to happen.
Yeah, sure.
But doesn't mean, you look at the games and there's still a wide range of athletes and sizes out there. And I think there always will be. People keep thinking, oh, it's a short man's game, or it's a this, or that competition was for tall guys. It's like, that's what's cool about this sport, is you're still going to see a range. And even in a sport like the NBA, which is like, obviously it's all about height, you still get guys that are 5'11" in the league, right?
Correct.
It's like, how are they beating out the guy who's 6'10" that didn't make the league? It's like, because they're better. So yeah, that's the first thing. And it's the same advice I'd give to someone who's shorter that wanted to get better at snatching. Just like, always move well, like stretch a lot, mobilize, move with intent. For me, what works really well is filming myself. Like, I film myself every rep, every set, every workout of the year. And I'm always reviewing it. I have a little bit more time than most to do that, but I'm reviewing it. And then I'm watching videos of other athletes, whether it's an Olympian lifting, or maybe it's, Vellner doing ring muscle ups. And I'm like, how do I make my muscle ups look like that? And I've found coaches that have helped me too, but usually the breakthroughs come from me when I'm just like, I'm watching, like, I'll use, again, Vellner as an example. I'm watching his ring muscle ups, and then I watch mine and I'm like, okay, like, what's different here? And I slow it down and I'm, okay, like, his hips are coming up then, and my hips are coming up a little later, or my knees, or this, and then you go and you try again until you figure it out. It was when I think about this, or when I, whatever it is, right? And that, it just takes time. You got to be patient. You got to put in the work, and you have to be willing to take, this is probably the most important advice. You have to be willing to take 2 steps back or 1 step back to take 2 steps forward. So if right now you're wrapped up in, in your mind, oh, I'm a guy who can snatch 200 pounds. Like, that's who I am. And so it's hard to start snatching 160 with perfect form.
Right.
Because that's like, well, okay, I'll just do 200 real quick just to prove that I still can. It's like, no, you have to keep snatching 160 with perfect form until you graduate to 165 again. And then you'll get to 220, but you never would have got to 220 if you were just snatching ugly at 200.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
I know you've had a very busy last week. You're looking forward to taking some time off. So I'm not going to keep you on here much longer, but I have one final question, which is kind of, what does your off season look like? What are your plans for just the chill plans? But then also, are we going to see you competing in any of these off season competitions in the next several months?
Yeah, I'm honestly not entirely sure. Starting to make some plans. Yeah, I'm going to keep those close to my chest for now. Hopefully do some in-person competitions before the Open. The Open starts in like February. And so between now and then, I'll probably compete probably once, maybe twice. Not sure which ones yet, but kind of excited to hopefully make that happen. And yeah, and then really the priority is just to get better, to get back here next year, not take semifinals and quarterfinals for granted, make sure that I am ready to go and ready to crush those. So I get here again and then get here again and, be in better shape, like be fitter, have, a better overall package and a better plan to put an even better run at, getting back on the podium and, getting on that top spot. I think it's definitely possible. And so I want to make sure that I put my energy mostly there throughout the year and not get too distracted. Obviously there's still benefits to competing and I do want to experience those things, but I want to make sure that I'm not taking on too much. And I want to make sure that keep my eyes on the prize for 360. I got a countdown. No, I don't have a countdown on my phone, but 360 odd days from now. So yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, you've earned a little bit of a break. Brent, I'm going to let you go. It's always great catching up with you. Congratulations again on the podium finish, and best of luck on next season. We're going to be catching up with you, I'm sure, and tracking your progress throughout. So thanks again.
Thanks, Justin. Have a good one.
Bye.